Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're going to be going a little bit more on the in-depth on the brand new PlayStation 5. We have a lot of things we're going to go and cover, as well as also we have even more. Like, I'm sure you guys have maybe seen some of the videos we made on these previously, but we actually now have a 38-minute in-depth, like, essentially gamer saga. It's like the gamer Romeo and Juliet that went extremely in-depth and kind of just talked about everything in terms of every feature that's better, worse, and all of that features going on. So I'm going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the actual reason of why this even matters, because I did make a few videos on these before, and some people are like, wait, there's a new PlayStation? Wait, what do you mean there's a new PlayStation? So I'm sure maybe some people just don't necessarily know the full-on story. So I'm going to go through the entire thing on it and kind of give you guys the rough rundown on it and brand new information on kind of why the brand new PlayStation, the brand new revision, is actually not that bad. It also arguably might even be a little bit better too. We also touched on this before too as well, because we have saw those videos. You may have like the rough gist of it, but basically there is a brand new console and it is not that bad, but people thought it was really bad, but now it's like even more research. It's actually pretty good, but it's not that awful, but it's like pretty good. just bear with me. You guys can listen to it in the background as you guys are like eating dinner or something like that. But I appreciate you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc digital console controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well. Link down below. Sign up for Weeble. Deposit $100. You guys go get free stack and free money. Coinbase, you guys go buy $100 worth of any cryptocurrency. You guys go and get free Bitcoin. Those are always linked down below. Like the video itself. Let's go dive on into it in general. So thank God for the lovely folks over here at Kotaku, which could hopefully make this look and seem a little bit more on the nicer side on over here, because we have a lot of things to go and talk about. So this is called The Saga Behind the New PlayStation 5's Heatsink Explains, and it looks like the new PlayStation 5 smaller heatsink isn't a big deal after all. So let's go talk about a lot of different stuff on this. So over the last few weeks, much hay has been made about the PlayStation 5, specifically the new revision of the Sony console that includes a smaller heatsink. Early reports criticized this change for leading to increased temperatures during operation, but fears that this would impact performance have mostly been put to rest through more breakthrough news courtesy of Digital Foundry and Gamers Nexus. So this is all new stuff. If you guys have seen the previous videos, this is a little bit more new information. So basically, this is kind of like the recap on all this type of stuff too as well, all the technicals and all the kind of like the stuff that kind of caused up this big controversy in the first place. So the new PlayStation 5 model, which we'll refer to as the CFI 1100, as opposed to the CFI 1000 series, which was the launch model itself, is 300 grams, a little over half a pound lighter than its predecessor due to some internal changes. The heatsink, a piece of the hardware that dissipates heat away from the other vital components, is much smaller in the CFI 1100 model, and a large copper backing plate from the CFI 1000 model is missing, but the revised setup also includes a fan with a much larger blades. So that was kind of where a lot of the big kind of controversy they kind of float around with that, because a lot of folks were like, well, if it's running hotter on the outside, that means it might be running hotter on the inside. And then as well, too, with also some of the heatsink kind of going away, it also kind of goes and shows that basically the heat itself could maybe not be as efficient, because, you know, if you have a larger surface, it takes larger to heat. Think like a pool versus like a little thing in like a cup, like a soup bowl. It's going to take longer to heat up the pool than that. So it's kind of like the rough idea. And the very initial things kind of led to a very good hypothesis, but it kind of was a little bit more on the extreme side, where a lot of people were like, yeah, this doesn't seem good. And then also led to like scalpers even increasing prices on the core launch models and people kind of freaking out. But of course, as well, sometimes you just need a little bit more information. So we got the initial numbers that basically the brand new one is not that bad. Basically, it's like, it's okay, it's all right. It actually might even be more efficient depending on the game. But this is why we're going to go and talk about this 38 like gamer saga in a second. So basically, it also did come with the brand new screw. And as well, there's also some little small changes too, such as I think an updated Wi-Fi card too as well, which at the end of the day doesn't really change too much in general. So basically, the controversy about the revised PlayStation 5 heatsink began with the Austin Evans video, which we covered and talked over here, saying the new PlayStation 5 is worse. Evans, a popular YouTuber with a history of hardware breakdowns, came to the startling conclusion after noting that the CFI 1100 consistently ran several degrees hotter than the CFI 1000. And while he was criticized for recording external temperatures rather than the temperature of the internal hardware, this was enough to set off a firestorm of complaints that Sony was scaling back on the PlayStation build quality to finally make a profit on the console. Which to me, even still, I'll give myself like the not good pat on the back. It does kind of seem like that was kind of like the go-to Sony was trying to turn a profit. The internals changed. The actual, literally, like the heatsink itself got a little bit smaller, and it would make a little bit of sense too because it was lighter, and they're just trying to maybe fine tune the console. So then after that, and we kind of touched on some of this, but this was like the big expose. It was up to the detectives at Digital Foundry and Gamers Nexus to go and tear down the console apart and see what the fuss was all about in the new videos released earlier and then today. So their conclusion, none of this really matters, and there's still no reason to seek out one model over the other, especially with how hard it is to find any of the consoles in the first place. So these are going to be kind of the big things, and I kind of want to talk about this a little bit in depth myself. So if you guys remember, the one big thing we saw was that the CPU itself did run cooler on the brand new PlayStation 5. We showed some of the numbers on a previous video on that, but a lot of the other things were actually running a little bit hotter on the new one. So basically the main like APU, the main processing unit itself, did run a little bit more on the higher side. And the verse, I think some of the memory and all that are on the lower side, but then some of the memory was also running a little bit on the higher side too as well. If you guys want to a little bit more on the in-depth side in a previous video, basically some things, if I somehow got that wrong, some things were running a little bit better on the old console, while some other things were running a little bit worse on the old console. So it's kind of like a teeter-totter where I'm sure some really big executives over at Sony were trying their best to go and be like, do we want to have this or do we want to have this? What about the longevity? What about like the actual internals? Is this better? Is this worth? Will games run better? Will they run more smoother? Can we go and also cut the cost? And it was basically probably just a really big boardroom meeting. So it's very intriguing because there actually was some benefits of the initial first console. It actually was proven that some of the temperatures and some of the actual hardware were better. Like it actually was with extensive testing. But at the same time too, some of the actual new features on the brand new console ran overall a little bit cooler too as well. So it really was a big give and take. So basically for their comments, the bullet point takeaways from days of testing are relatively straightforward. Digital Foundry's Richard Ledbetter explained on Eurogamer. There's an improvement to temperature on the voltage regulators. Memory temperatures are better in some respects and worse in others, but still only a few degrees difference overall. And while the main processor may well get a few degrees hotter, there is no evidence that this presents anything worth worrying about, assuming you're keeping your PS5 in a well-ventilated area. So it's kind of what we talked about too as well, where it does kind of seem like the big CPU does get a little bit on the hotter side, but other various things too, such as memory and all that, are a little bit on the lower side. That has been confirmed by other sources, and this is kind of basically essentially like double confirmation on this after all of these hours of testing and all this other various information. So you guys can even kind of see like some of this type stuff too. The numbers overall aren't that crazy different. We touched on this, we showed pictures on this, we talked about a little bit more but in the depth beforehand. Like I said, we've just had multiple sources now test this. We've also had multiple people kind of go and talk about it. So like everything is pretty much the same. Like it's very, very similar. And you guys can even look through these pictures right here. I can make the screen a little bit bigger too as well. It's not bad. Like if you guys get the new console, it's perfectly okay. In all honesty though, at least for me, how I've done stuff with my computer, my, actual proper PC, built it myself and all that, I will be honest, I think I actually would personally go and prefer a slightly cooler, like central processing myself, but that's just me, mainly because I do know a lot of games run very heavily on both the GPU and CPU. While memory is a big factor too, I kind of feel like the CPU is a little bit more on the bigger side. So I'm actually somewhat on the happier side. I do have my current launch title PS5, this big boy right here, but like as I mentioned, it's kind of like a give and take. Like it's kind of like you could have your GPU 2 degrees hotter or your CPU a little bit 2 degrees lower. Most people really, at the end of the day, don't really necessarily care too much, especially in comparison to say both RAM and like the actual CPU itself. But if you guys actually know a little bit more on the know than I am, or you guys want to go and type in your comments down below in the comment section, you guys totally can. But like I said, I think the big information on this is some of these things are so extremely close and so exactly similar that it really doesn't matter. Like if you get either console, you'll be happy. I think the long term for consoles, granted we still should be worried about these long-term things, but pretty much everyone who's done this extensive testing and torn the consoles apart and did research on all of this, they in general have been pretty happy with it. It works, it flows, and I think at the end of the day, I think more people are just want to have just restocks and a chance to buy the console rather than making sure it's like 1% better or 1% worse. And I'm sure most people out there would probably be okay just fully being like, hey, like I just want my console in my hands to go play some games. I don't care if it's just slightly better or slightly worse, because at the same time too, or you could really just be like putting your hand and potentially on over here. Now once again, it could maybe have some issues 3, 4, 5 years down the road, but in all theory 4 years down the road we'll probably already be on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and if you start running into any slogging issues or any other various issues with it, at that point just go and upgrade and trade on in for a PS5 Pro. So it's kind of my take on this stuff, but overall, at least it is pretty happy. At the end of the day, there's not been any crazy issues with it so far. And overall, like if you guys ever want to watch on the actual video itself, you guys totally can. But on the bright side, I think we could all be collectively happy. And then once again, with multiple now sources, it's not just one and done. Is now I actually have 2 very prominent people who have helped out with various things before, saying it's all okay at the end of the day. So if you guys want to give your thoughts down below, feel free to. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc, digital console controller, Twitter and Twitch stream as well. Link down below. Sign up for Weeble, deposit $100. You guys go get free stack and free money. Coinbase, you guys go buy $100 worth of any cryptocurrency. You guys go and get free Bitcoin. I just appreciate you guys always so much for watching. You guys are all lovely, and I'll see you guys up in the next one later on today.